Imagine a conscious contact with God so strong that no matter what you are doing or not doing, that no matter what your kids are up to or not up to, and that whether you've got the person of your dreams or they're just not cooperating, that you are happy, content, and at peace. A space where everyone else's thoughts, attitudes, and actions are beautiful and exactly as they are supposed to be. Well, this is the space where I like to play. My name is Misha Z, and this is today's Bitch Slap. Join me as I shed light on the thoughts, actions, and attitudes that are causing you pain, and we train our minds to go to the capital S inner self, the joy that is waiting for us, the God within. Melissa McClave, welcome to the Bitch Slap podcast.
Thank you for having me, Misha Z.
Indeed. And it's the Bitch Slap podcast, the accelerated path to peace. So although we might deviate from that exact topic, it is good for us to have a frame of reference of hey, let's go back to that. And the idea is those moments in our lives that sort of shake us up, smacked by the universe on the side of the head, God, the divine, you want, where it's like, hey, we need to see things differently. Perhaps we need to see things from a spiritual standpoint, or call it what you will, right? And so that's the idea of the podcast. Cool?
Okay.
Awesome. Fantastic. And so I want everybody to know that's listening to this that before I hit record, I asked you, hey, is there anything off limits? And tell me what that answer was.
I strive every day to be as authentic as possible. So as long as your questions are authentic, my responses will be authentic.
That's beautiful. And I love that answer. So I just was like, you know what? What a great way to start the podcast. There's a few things I know about you, and I'll just tell you as I was writing down the notes. So first off, you're the curator, host, creator of what is called the Death Cafe. No?
That's a little bit, yeah. No, actually, John Underwood started Death Cafes in 2017 and died shortly after that. It's a nonprofit community based out of London, England. And
Okay.
I actually co-host death cafes, virtual death cafes once a month. The next one is February 10th, 2021 from 6:30 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Because they're virtual, we get people from all over the world that join us. And I host them every month. So if you go to deathcafe.com,
okay,
you can almost always find one that's happening or will be happening.
Cool. And then tell me, are there multiple hosts? So do you host the one, or no, it's wide open? Okay.
Yeah, it's wide open. I happen to co-host because I'm poaching somebody else's Zoom link.
Okay.
And one of my co-hosts is in his 90s, and he wants to continue having the virtual death cafe when he dies.
Okay.
So part of the reason why I'm doing it is, the probability is that he will die before me.
Okay.
And then that'll give continuity to his legacy. And, all that's really important in life is, did your life make a difference, a positive difference in the world? Did people feel your love? Did you feel other people's love? And so that loving connection is what brought Frank and I together. And it's what encourages me to continue hosting death cafes. But my real job is
real quick.
Frank's
last name, your co-host?
Stefano, Stefano.
And 90 years old.
Yes, turned 90 in August.
Okay, cool. That's what a great source of I was going to say content, but I just think wisdom, experience, and before we get into, you were just about to say what you do
Mhm.
other than that, but I think of my stepdad Bob, who passed away in June, natural causes, old age, so it wasn't the COVID, and he was 92 or 3 or something like that. And I would oftentimes ask him, what's your greatest life lesson, or all these sorts of questions, and he was a scientist mind, so he was brilliant, and the head of the physiology department at Berkeley for 40 years, and hung out with Nobel Prize laureates and things like that, right? And he was always very vague and ambiguous in his answers when I would start asking about death, or like, and I was always so excited to have access to this like older gentleman who's, like my father, who's my stepdad, but an amazing man. Love my regular father too. What a gift that I got two fathers. um, Thank you for listening to me and indulging me, and I'm looking forward to hearing what you have to say in this regard. But that how, like, Bob lived this amazing life, just like I said, brilliant mind, like was affecting people in a positive way, was a beautiful source of light and inspiration in my life, and all these other things, financially did the right things, all the checklists, right? And so I would be like, all right, man, you got to be excited for death. What's next? And he was like, I am not talking about that. And he wouldn't say it, but he would pivot that conversation like that. And then, his body, he was super healthy till the very end. And then his body just shut down. Right. And so, like, the last 2 weeks of his life, he was kind of pissed. He's like, I don't want to die. I'm not ready. Like, this is bullshit. Right. And, tell me your thoughts on what I just said, because I don't know if there's a question in there, or I go on.
Well, what I've learned in my business and experience is that it's going to end the same way. The end is always the same. The end is always in death. It's how you get there that you have some control over, that, or that you can make a difference in. And so I help people, I walk them to their death, because it's going to, whether you accept it or not, it's
It's
going to
coming. It's
happen.
coming.
So really what I would want to hear are your stories of loving connection that you had with him, because how people live through is through their stories. Their spirit lives on through stories that you tell. And it's great that he was so accomplished professionally, and you hold him in such high regard. But what I would ask you is, what's the first memory you have of feeling his love?
Mm, that's beautiful. That's a great question. I'll tell you what's interesting. Um, I felt unconditional love from Bob right away, right? Like, he loved me for who I was, and I, not that my parents didn't, right? But it was a different it's like he got a fresh start with me, almost, I would say, right? Or I jumped into his life when I was 13 years old. That's when my mother met him. But I'll frame it this way. When I talk about Bob, I just see beauty and compassion, shining light, encouragement. Like, he would buy into my shenanigans and be like, heck yeah. Or I would have some crazy little business idea. I need to borrow money. And he would be like, okay, you know, clearly ready to lose whatever investment was he would throw into it. And then you talk to his stepdaughter, or my stepsister Lori, who's another beautiful soul, just like her father. And she's like, how do you see him like that? Right? She's like, he was the 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 sort of the pain in the ass dad. But anyway, I don't know if I totally avoided answering your question or answered it.
It's a process, Misha.
Yeah.
This work that I do has a long tail. So the fact that you're even willing to start the discussion with it is already a positive thing.
Yeah.
And then if I were working with you
Yeah.
as a client,
Yeah.
I would ask you to be very specific in your example, the first example of when you felt his love. Tell me that story.
Okay.
And I don't know if we have time to do
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
kind
No,
of
no.
work here,
No, check
but
this
that's
out.
where I start.
No, this is super fun. If we don't need to go this direction, but let's just play with it for a little bit.
Mhm.
Um, and so I'll tell you my first memory of really feeling his love was, and this is going to be weird, and I don't know. I think it's avoiding the answer. So
Okay, let me just stop you right there.
yeah,
It has nothing to do with fact.
okay,
This has nothing to do with his response or
okay,
other people's response. This is a
yeah,
very personal experience that you had. And that's all that matters. When you're dying, when you
yeah,
know you're dying,
yeah,
all that matters is that you were loved and that other people felt your love. And if
mm,
they can be specific in their retelling of that, it brings peace to the dying, and it brings peace to the room. So
that is beautiful.
please tell me your story.
Okay, thank you for that. Wow, that was so eloquent. What a beautiful way to frame that. Okay, I was 13 years old. It was the first time that I met him officially. I'd heard about him, or maybe it's my first memory of meeting him. I think it was the first official meeting. I lived in Jackson, Wyoming. He, with my mother, lived in Berkeley, California. They picked me up at the airport in his little Datsun, whatever. I can't even remember what kind of car, the B210 or whatever it was. This crazy little hippie car at the time. He was full hippie. But when we were driving, so he picked me up. I felt the love then. I just felt that he was so warm and inviting. And then it was a crazy road to get to his house in the Berkeley Hills. And I just remember like coming around the corner with him driving the car. My mom was in the front. My brother may or may not have been there. But I just remember driving into this new wondrous land in his little hippie car, through the foggy Berkeley Hills, and just like, this is this is a it was just that vivid, I don't know if it was it's my first memory of meeting him, and just that openness and the warmth, and this is a safe, beautiful, magical place that we're heading. How about that?
Awesome. So he made you feel safe
Yeah.
and magical
Yeah.
and like maybe a new beginning
Yeah, for sure.
and maybe a new beginning with your mom too.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, felt good for my mom. I think that was it. I felt like, oh yeah, my mom's in safe hands.
And she'll have her own experience with this. So
Yeah.
if Bob was still alive
Yeah.
and and he was in probably hospice, did he go hospice?
At his house, he died at
Yeah.
his house. Yeah, yes, hospice at his house.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
So for him to know that he made you, oh, sorry,
No, it's okay.
for him to know that he made you feel safe
Yeah,
and meeting him and driving through that road and going through those um, details
yeah.
would bring him peace.
Mm,
So one of the things that I would do is I would listen to your stories. I'd get as many details as possible. I interpret them and then I send them to you. I write them back to you so that you
mm.
have an outline of the story to tell your loved ones.
Oh my God, go on.
And
Sorry.
it starts there, right?
I'm getting the chills. This is
Right.
ridiculous. This is so amazing.
I love what I do.
So,
It's amazing.
so what's your
And it
title?
makes me cry too,
Oh my
right?
God,
So
right?
it's
You get to be a part of that process and
yeah,
spreading the love and sharing the love and helping people express their love. What a gift. My God.
yeah.
Oh man, I wish people could see. That's amazing. That's so beautiful. So, okay, so what do you do? What's your job title? Or I mean, it's clear what you do, but tell me like officially. So yes, I'm
Well, I call myself an end of life doula. And
okay.
doula is a Greek term for servant or to serve. Um, but really, what I do is I walk people to their death, or I help their loved ones
Mm,
um, find acceptance in their dying person's death and dying process. Um, because, like I said before, it all ends the same way. It
yeah.
ends in death. It's
Can I ask
just,
you a question really quick?
yeah,
And sorry to cut you off. I'm
that's fine.
thinking of two things. First off, I'm thinking of we've got a parent or we've got the person that's dying. Doesn't necessarily need to be a parent. It could be somebody that is dying for whatever reason, a loved one. And then we've got the other side that's going to live. And so now we've got like you either get to help the dying or you get to help the living. Perhaps they're not together in that one, meaning like the dying person might be like, I want nothing to do with this, but you get to be supportive of the survivor. Yes. Or maybe, am I framing that right? Where like,
Yeah, all my work is for the people that are left behind, right? Because once you
okay,
die, you're
okay.
done. My job is done
Yes.
with you. But really, because especially in America, there's very
Well, so
little
hold that
ritual.
thought. So are you doing before and after or mostly after? Like they're about to die. So you're hanging out with everybody and then you're really supportive after the person passes away or?
No, actually, that's really interesting. I'm not like grief support or any of that. What I try
Okay.
to do is I try to bring acceptance of the death
Mm,
and give people ritual to do during the because it's a hopeless, not hopeless, it's a helpless. There's
mm,
nothing you can do. You have no
nothing you can
control
do.
over the process.
The ultimate
All your
the
prayers and
ultimate
thoughts,
uncontrol.
and sure,
I love this.
every once in a while I hear about miracles happening, but that's really the tail, right?
Yes.
That's not the that's not the majority. Most people will die. And especially like when I hear things like, Alex Trebek had pancreatic cancer, I that's a death sentence. No
Right.
matter how positive you are about that, pancreatic cancer will kill you.
Statistically, that's you don't want that.
Yeah.
So
Um,
again, you're there pre-death, post-death, I guess is what I'm asking you.
I'm there to make the post death a little less filled with shame,
Oh.
regret,
Oh.
um, anger,
Mm,
anger based out of the the primitive brain,
mm,
that lack of control. I'm there to to remind you that there's stories that this person made a positive difference in the world,
mm.
and that is enough.
It's
That is
beautiful.
enough.
And
And all the things that you wish you would have said to them, you can still say to them.
mm,
But when you're dying, you don't want people coming in and apologizing or asking your forgiveness.
mm.
We're way past that. We hear how you loved them
Yes.
and how they loved you. And even though they may have been jerks or, not what you needed, they're still human beings that made a positive difference in the world
They did
somehow, some way.
somehow, some way. So
And
you're
that's what you focus on. And that's what I help people focus on. And I
cool.
also help them bring ritual into the dying process.
Mm, mm, mm. Fascinating. So you were going to say in America, death, you were going to tell me about the way, go ahead, Americans
Yeah.
view death or something like that. Or
Well, there's a long history of avoiding death in America, and not accepting it. Almost every product you see out there is how to improve your life, how to keep you alive longer,
yes.
and without accepting the fact that, good people die
Yeah.
of famine and war,
Yeah.
of cancer, of, accidents,
Yeah.
drug overdoses.
Mm,
130 people a day die in America of fentanyl overdoses.
mm,
And that's a whole population that nobody wants to talk about. And that's a whole population that dies with leaving their family with shame and regret and anger and a sense of helplessness
mm.
and and no acceptance. And so what I do is I help people, like, kind of I help them plan their transition vigil. I
Okay.
help them plan their memorial services, and I help them plan their legacies. What
Mm,
do you want to be remembered for? I'm sure that your stepfather was very proud of his work, but is that really what he wants to be remembered for? Or does he want to be remembered for being a loving, caring person who made a difference in people's lives?
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
um,
So awesome. And I'm guessing you didn't come out of the womb like this.
no, I was, well, maybe I did,
Okay.
because one thing that I've learned is that, I'm not afraid of people dying. I haven't been afraid of people dying. I thought I was afraid because everybody else around me was afraid. But it was pointed out to me that I'm the one at the bedside when everybody else has left the room.
Mm,
And I didn't know that because I'm focused on the dying person. My favorite part of my work is being there at the last breath. Um, how I got into the death care business.
well, wait a minute. Hold that thought. So
Uh-huh.
you just told me when most of the people are leaving the room, you're hanging in there, which implies that before you got into this business, which I very much looking forward to about, you were in situations where people were dying and you had an opportunity to hang out by the bed.
Yes.
So perhaps more than most. So that's an interesting thing. Like I think, tell me about those, or how that's an unusual thing for a person to be. That's going to be outside of the norm of most people in America's existence. I think, right, is that you're hanging out with people who are dying
Yeah.
before it's your job. Tell me about
Yeah.
this. What's up?
Well, I guess the one that comes to my mind is my husband's grandfather.
Okay.
Um, his death was one of the first that I was most conscious of. Like, we made a conscious effort to go up there every week. He was in Orange County,
Hmm.
and we go up there every week and hang out with him. And nobody else wanted to do that. Nobody else wanted to live, visit him as he was
Hmm.
talking about his death. And he was in his 90s. His wife had died a few months before. He was already prepared to go. Um, I didn't know anything about this, but when he died, the hospice nurse called us, and we went straight up there, and we were there. We brought our son, who was a toddler at the time, to see the corpse, to see the body, to say goodbye. And nobody else wanted anything to do with that. And I thought that was so strange.
It is strange.
Um,
Or maybe it's not. Maybe they're looking at you going, man, you're strange.
right. Well, the strange part about that is that both my husband and I agreed that our children should be introduced to death when it happened.
It's beautiful.
So from the beginning, they've been going to funerals and going to vigils. Um, it's part of we talk a lot in our house about sex,
Yep.
drugs, rock and roll, and death. I mean, those are conversations that we've been able to have, at least the last 5 years, if not longer, um, with all generations that
Tell
are
me, how
willing
old
to
are
have
your,
that conversation.
yeah, so how old are your kids today?
My daughter will be 14 at the end of this month, and my son will be 17 in April.
Okay. So how cool is that? So if I hear you correctly, when they were 9 and 12-ish, you and your husband subconsciously or consciously made an effort to say, all right, let's talk about this. Let's talk about the realities of life, sex, drugs, rock and roll, death.
Yeah, really, when my husband found his people,
Yes.
it opened up a lot of opportunities for us to be our authentic selves.
That's amazing. So your husband goes through a transition period like many of us get to, and that's a bitch slap for you. Excuse the term. I just say it because I love that moment. It's where
I don't fucking care.
thank
So
you. You get a moment of like your husband has an opportunity to pivot 180 in how he approaches life. And I actually had that down to talk about in regards to you. So you embraced that as well along with him. Yes, is what I'm hearing you say. And then go ahead.
it gave us the opportunity to be our authentic self.
Authentic selves. I love that. That's a beautiful way to frame it. So on any given day at the McClave household, if there's an opportunity for those subjects to come up, let's lean into it and embrace it versus pivot, Bob, weave away from it and perhaps look in your phone, let's turn on the TV or, you know, tell me your most let's talk about your son. What's your most poignant moment with him on talking about death, let's say?
Well, my son is I don't have it right off the top of my head with my son, but I can talk about my daughter because boy, death hit us right between the eyes last year. Um, and that's a better story.
Let's hear it. Go.
Okay.
The floor is
So my
yours. I love it.
daughter is a competitive gymnast,
Okay.
and her coach was an epileptic.
Okay.
And the medicines that Coach Lydia is her name, um, was using weren't working anymore. Her seizures were becoming more violent and regular, like not regular, but more common.
Comment. Can I ask you a
And
question?
so, mhm.
Would those so she might be coaching the team and all of a sudden she would have a seizure? Was that kind of a thing happen?
No, let me finish my story.
Okay, yeah, go. Sorry.
Okay, that's
Yes.
all right. um, so she went out. She stopped being coached. She went in and had an operation done, and it was a trial to see if they could control her seizures using electrical impulses in her brain.
Okay.
And so, it's a new technique that they're using for epileptics, and she was willing to be a subject for that. And I don't know if it was helping. Um,
Mm.
but
God bless her for
so that would have
for
been
being willing.
November. We were we were at a gym meet in Arizona
Mm.
in January of last year, and
3 months
my
ago? Is that what we're talking about here? Or a year and a month ago or something like that?
about yeah a year ago.
Okay,
Yeah,
perfect. Okay.
so it was at the end of January of last year,
Okay.
and my daughter's team, my daughter's group was the last to compete. So we were there Sunday night.
Okay. Your daughter's
Um,
13 at this time, yes? Or 12, 13, about
12.
12.
She's
Okay.
12.
Okay.
So we rock up to the venue, and there's hardly anybody there because the meet's been going on since Friday, and this is Sunday night, and there's no Coach Lydia.
Mm.
And so we're like, hey, what's going on? And they're like, hey, Coach Lydia had a seizure. And we're like, oh, shit, that sucks.
Yeah.
And so the girls competed and everything. And the next morning, we're driving home from Arizona, and I get a call, and we're in the car, and it's Kevin, my husband, and he's like, "Hey, have you talked with the
Can I ask
Y?"
you a question? And I'm
Hold
gonna
on, let me finish this
well,
story.
I one question. How much do those girls love this coach? I mean, is
We
it
love
like
this coach. We love this person,
I and
right? This
probably
person
more?
is an amazing person all around. So when we stop to eat, I get on the phone, and Coach Lydia died. She had woke up Sunday morning,
Mm.
had a seizure in the shower, getting ready for the gym meet, bumped her head, and either died of head trauma or drowning from an epileptic seizure in the shower. And so we're standing in line at the Cracker Barrel in wherever that Cracker Barrel at
Yeah.
the border of Arizona and California is.
Yes.
And I said to May, I'm like, May is my daughter's name.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, Coach Lydia had a seizure. And she's like, yeah, yeah. And I'm like, well, she died.
Mm.
And so that was how our year last year started. And that was my daughter's experience of having a first person acknowledgement of death.
Yeah.
Um, my daughter loved Coach Lydia so much that in the sixth grade, she wrote a story. She had to write a creative story. And one of the characters was epileptic.
So beautiful.
Sorry.
No, thank you.
And so we acknowledged her disease,
Mm.
and we acknowledged that it would probably kill her. Um, but for it to come so unexpectedly was really something that we're still working through. We still
Yeah.
talk about her every day.
Yeah.
We love Coach Lydia. We
Yeah.
loved her family. We
Yeah.
by that time I had been doing this work. And so when they had the memorial service that one of the other um, team moms put on, she's religious, so she had a church to host the service and stuff.
Yes, yes.
Um, May and I have this thing that we do at services. It's people, either the celebrant will say, I didn't know this person, but, or they'll say, well, that's the big one. That's the important one. And so we're sitting there. May is up at the front with her team, and I'm sitting
Yes.
in the back. And the lady, the celebrant who's doing Coach Lydia's service, says, I didn't know Lydia,
Mm.
and my daughter turns around and looks at me, and I'm just like, oh my God, why do they do that?
Why
So,
do they do that?
because people don't plan their memorial services. That's why.
That's
And
why.
that's why I help people plan their memorial services, because you want a celebrant that knew you.
Mm.
You don't want just somebody who works for the church, because then it becomes all about them, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
the memorial service isn't about the celebrant, it's about the loved one who died.
Yeah.
So that's my experience with death with my kids. Um, with my son, I remember when my sister-in-law's father died, and
Yeah.
he died suddenly,
Okay.
and we went out to his memorial service in Boulder City, Nevada, and the cousins didn't go to the service. They were like in a playroom, and we insisted that Kai go to the service. And
Mm.
he was just so, as far as I know, and I should ask him about it, but as far as I know, it was really um, cathartic in accepting that Papa Tony was dead.
Mm.
Um, yeah. And then there's my stepfather, excuse me, who died. And my kids went to that service.
Mm.
My, yeah.
Yeah, I just had a thought of, I had a very small extended family, and so my experience might be the unusual one. So immigrant family, you know, so very small circle of localized, at least in the US, family members. All my mother's parents passed away when she was very young, and her brother passed away at a young age. And I'm just going through the Rolodex, and I'm like, oh yeah, when my father was not very close to his sister. So when she passed, well, there was an interesting story around that. When when how old was I? Maybe 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, somewhere in there. But he's like, yeah, my sister just passed. And not having dealt with a lot of people passing away in my life, I don't want to say flippant about it. I was like, oh, oh, I'm sorry, or whatever I said. I was like, oh, and I didn't know her and had never met her, so I was like, oh, I'm sorry. But fast forward now, having both my parents died, my stepdad died, like there's been the last 10 years, I've had a lot of opportunity to deal with, to embrace that experience. And I I have a brother, so it's very poignant to me now. I'm like, oh my gosh, my father's sister died when maybe he was probably 40 or 45, so she was either younger or older by a couple of years. I'm like, dang, that's pretty young. Like, what a profound impact it had on him, and I was oblivious. I'm much more aware of that now. It's so interesting.
You have a son.
I do have a son. Yes, two sons, Cooper and Waylon.
Where are they in the family death? Did they
Yeah,
go to the memorial? Did they
absolutely.
visit Bob before he died?
They did. It was a
They
beautiful
did.
experience for all of us, actually. It happened so quick with Bob, where I got a call. I mean, I was close to Bob, very close. And when someone dies quick, you don't realize maybe how close I wasn't, right? Like if you're talking every couple of months or few months and somebody's 92 years old, a lot can happen in 2 months. Um, but I'll tell you about Bob. I'll tell you, not constantly, many times I told Bob how profound he was in my life, for whatever reason. I just was like, you know what, Bob, you were a shining light in my life, and thanked him so much, and a few times along the way. And so I was glad to have done that, you know. Uh, So it gets word that Bob's on his last leg. I gotta have a quick call with him, and then I was like, "All right, guys, let's get up there now." And at this point, Waylon, my 17-year-old, had, you know, done my father died of a heart attack out of nowhere. So all of us were like, what? But both my boys showed up, rallied, were super supportive, went to the memorial. Like I pretty much wear my emotions on my sleeves. So it might have been too much for them, but that's all right. It's beautiful. It was beautiful. And then when my mom passed, and, you know, they were very involved. And go ahead. You looks like you were maybe going to say something.
Um, when you, the authenticity of your emotion gives them permission to be authentic in their emotion.
Yeah.
We teach them, right? We teach
Yeah.
people, and we, especially our children, how to handle all of the experiences of life, including death.
Yeah. I'll tell you, thank you for that. I'll tell you the experience I had with Cooper, which was very poignant for me. And I'll just, this will give you some, like, I'm still human, right? So Bob is going to die, right? And it's very clear. So I need to get up there. Waylon still lives with me. He's 17. So Waylon's on board. He's like, heck yeah, let's go. And I start Cooper, and I love Cooper. He's my 19-year-old, but him and I are strong personalities that can sort of have rough edges. And I say that with love, not that either of us is wrong or whatever. He's genetically doing what he's supposed to be doing. I'm genetically doing what I'm supposed to be doing. I selfishly went into, do I want to bring Cooper? Because this is going to be a pain in the ass. Right. And so I'll be perfectly honest with you. I booked the tickets for myself and Waylon and didn't book a ticket for Cooper because I was like, I'm not sure if I want to deal with this. Right. And he wouldn't want to come anyway, and all these things. I was justifying my own selfish concerns, truly selfish concerns, with, oh, he wouldn't want to do it anyway, blah blah blah, all this bullshit. And I had a mentor friend of mine was like, I talked to him about it because I knew intuitively that that was wrong. I was like, this is not right. And so I talked to him about it, and he's like, yeah, you might want to, you know, give him the opportunity to show up, right? That's the thing. I was like, he isn't going to want to show up anyway. And he said to me, give him the opportunity to show up. So I hung up the phone, called Cooper, and I was like, Cooper, Bob's dying. And he's like, all right, what do we got to do? How do I get up there? And I was like, what? It was a very profound, beautiful moment for me. And as a matter of fact, he's like, I was like, well, plane's leaving. Do you want me to get you a ticket? He's like, heck no, I'll jump in my car. I'll be there. And it was the most beautiful, amazing thing. He literally drove through the middle of the night, came and said his goodbyes to Bob. I mean, to see Cooper do that, I mean, right? Wow. Anyway.
More importantly, congratulations on not letting fear block your recovery,
Yeah.
not letting fear be the, you know, motivator
Yeah.
of your decisions. So
Yeah.
well done.
Thank you. What a gift and what a moment of clarity, right? And being willing to lean into that. So it was, honestly, I'll tell you too, the other cool thing about it was I've taken my boys up there every year. We would go see Bob at least once, sort of a little family vacation. And Bob laid the foundation for such a beautiful death experience for us, even though maybe he didn't want to talk about it. But this is what, after so we went up, and so our family vacation for the year was to go, watch Bob die, in effect, right? Our yearly
Yeah.
trip to Berkeley, right? And Waylon was so profound, man. We get done, and he's like, I know that, effectively, he said, I know the circumstances weren't perfect, but he goes, that was the best trip I have ever had there. And I get chills thinking about it. How beautiful is that, Mel?
Right. And what a gift for you, right? So
Yeah.
now you have this memory that you can share with your children
Yeah.
of loving, of a loving connection. It's
Yeah.
a shared love experience.
Yeah.
Of the whole Bob death experience is a
Yeah.
shared love experience with so many gifts that
So many gifts.
as you unpack it, you realize that it's deeper. I quote my favorite author very often, and it's Sherman Alexie is my favorite author. And one of the things that he says is the world, even the smallest parts of it, are filled with things you don't know. And there's an example, right? You
Yeah.
thought you were going up there for Bob to support Bob, and instead you were gifted all
Mm.
these opportunities because you were authentic and you were courageous and
Mm.
you were just
Mm.
and you were willing to lead the way because even though they are young adults, you're still the parent
Yeah.
and it's still up to you to lead the way through the experience. So well
Yeah.
done.
You know what? Thank you. Thank you for that, Mel. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. Um, so all right. So what's the moment? You're like you're an accountant and you're like, wait a minute, I want to be a death doula. So is that a
Yeah.
painful transition and you're like the light bulb went off, or was that like, no, you needed to be a major smack on the side of the head. You need to do something different. Tell me.
Well, so what where do I start? Okay, so my degree is in agriculture, right? So
Okay.
I chose agriculture because, and it's actually horticulture and viticulture. I chose horticulture because then I don't have to deal with dead animals. Um, but I never got to practice that. Instead, I was a stay at home mom. I have hearing issues. I'm not deaf, but
Okay.
I have what's called auditory processing disorder.
Okay.
So what people say isn't necessarily what I hear. And it took me a
Okay.
long time to come to that. But I learned ASL when I was little. This,
Is
trust
that
me, American Sign Language.
okay, cool.
This will come around.
Okay.
Um, when my daughter was
I'm loving this, by
born,
the way. So I'm trusting it will. You've been an
okay,
amazing storyteller so far. So
thank
continue.
you, thank you.
Yes.
When my daughter was born, she had hearing issues, but hers were related to pneumonia, being sick all the time. I had a toddler, I had a newborn. She was sick for the first 3 years of her life. I, she had no back of the mouth vowels, so no guz,
Mm.
cuz. Um, it was really hard to understand her. My husband was insane and I was trying to hold my shit together and
Oh
hold
my
my house
God, right? How
together.
old? How old is this? When is this? 10, what is it? I'm looking at the timeline, 10 years ago, maybe?
At least,
At
right?
least. Okay.
Because May was born in 2007.
Okay.
So about 2009, 2010, I had enough breathing space to let me go back. So I took her to do baby sign. We
Okay.
did a baby sign class. And the lady's like teaching us these signs. And I'm like, I know this sign language. I remember this from my youth.
Yeah, yeah.
And gosh, it would be really helpful for May to learn this too. But I don't want to teach her like home signs. I want to teach her American Sign Language,
Okay.
ASL. So I started doing night classes at the adult ed, which was at SDA, which is across the street from my house. So I would have my neighbor watch the kids, and I would go there once a week and do ASL with this woman named Claudia Mulcahy. And she was amazing. And I did tons of class. I did every class I could with her.
Okay.
And in 2016, so God, 6 years I was with her.
Okay. You
Uh,
were all
she,
in.
I was all in. She was amazing. I learned so much. It rekindled my love for sign language, but it also reminded me how much it helps me understand what people are saying. If you can sign and talk to me at the same time, I can relax on how hard I have to concentrate on hearing what you're
Mm.
saying. So, it,
You know, it's
huge.
two oh, shoot, two
Let,
interesting things I think about that. One is that your to you to be captivated like that with the sign language thing, and then your teacher, she must have been an amazing person, just super fun, inspired you. So that's source of inspiration for you.
she was an authentic human being, and I'm drawn to that,
I love that. Thank you
right?
for that. Yes.
That's what I'm interested in, people's hobbies
Yeah.
and their life experiences.
Yeah.
So,
One more thought I'm going to tell you, and then I'm going to let you get back to it. I realize so much today when I'm talking to people how they will tell me something and I will react and I will be very clear, very quick. I did not get the intention of what they were saying, or I layered my own shit onto it, and I feel the disconnect, right? Or I'll notice the same experience where I will communicate with someone and it will not, it's missed. The point is missed. So I'm totally appreciating what you're talking about, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So go on.
um, 2016-ish, and I'm really terrible with time. So let me just bring that to the
Sure.
forefront.
Ish. Heavy on the ish.
She
We won't
she's
hold you
like,
to it.
"Hey, I my cancer is back." And I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" She's like, "Yeah,
This is your
yeah,
sign language teacher.
I'm a
Tell me
tooth
your name again.
I her name's Claudia Mulcahy."
Okay, go on.
And she's like, "Yeah, I had breast cancer and then I went into remission and then it came back and I went back and did treatment again. It went into remission and this time they're finding lesions on my kidneys."
Mm.
And I said, "Oh, okay. What can I do? How can I be of service?" And she's like, "Well, I've got to move back with my mom in Chula Vista. But before then, I really could use some help getting to treatment." I'm like, "Hell yeah, I'm down." So I would drive her to La Jolla, from Carlsbad to La Jolla for her treatments and just wait, and then we drive back and I take her home. And she was writing a book. It's called Cancer: What to Do or Say. And we would just have these conversations,
Mm.
right? And then obviously, when you're on your third treatment for cancer, that's usually not going to end with remission. And so she started preparing for her death and she started writing down things like, I want, I don't want my service to be my celebration of life to be in a church. I don't want a eulogy. I want a podium set up at the reception, and I want people to get up and tell stories about me or sit at the tables with other people that loved me and tell stories about me. And so she's like, I want to be cremated and I want people to take a little bit of me with them when they travel, because she loved to travel, and, and leave me there. And so she left a list and it was small.
Mhm.
It was very short, but
Mhm.
it was more than anybody else I've ever experienced before that to leave any kind of
Be willing to communicate it?
preferences.
Holy mackerel.
Right. So Claudia taught me how to die and how to be remembered.
Mm.
And for that,
Mm.
I'm forever grateful.
Mm. Thank you
I
so
have a
much.
picture of her right here I'm looking at. Um, because as scary as it is, it's inevitable.
It's
And
inevitable.
so it's really a matter of how you get there that you have any control over.
Mm.
Okay, so that happened. And then I was listening to
She's passed away so she
she died.
passes away.
Yeah,
Okay,
she
yes.
died. We did her service. Um, One of her colleagues stepped up to be the celebrant, and he's like, I'm gonna read my poem and do my song. And I didn't know any better. So I'm
Yeah.
like, great, you know?
Love it.
And then I realized, oh, you got to be really, if I'm going to give you any advice, these are the two things you got to do. Write down all your usernames and passwords and choose a celebrant.
Yeah.
Those are the two things super important to do, because the mess that those two things leave in the end after you die is just, it just adds to the grief, right?
Right.
It doesn't help.
Can I tell you, when my father passed away, I don't know, it was 10 years ago by now or whatever, but I had that experience, right? He was not planning for his death, right? And died of a heart attack. And so yeah, we had to deal with the cable bills and all the litany of things, right? And I'm sure his Facebook profile is probably still live. But who's going to give the eulogy, or call it what you will, right? Who's going to do this? And I remember that moment, and I fortunately I like the spotlight a little bit, hence we're here. And also I got to do it, and I got to step up, and it was one of the, oh, so profound, so beautiful. It was another, as you talked about, these gifts that come from the death, embracing the death experience. And yeah, anyway, I was gifted with the opportunity to do that. So continue on. I'm sorry to.
And well done for you accepting that
Yeah.
and facing that fear and
Yeah.
embracing it,
Yeah.
because there's so much that comes out of that. So I was listening to an interview with Caitlin Doty,
Okay.
and she is a woman who is pretty well known in the death industry. She has a YouTube channel called Ask the Mortician. She's a mortician,
Okay.
and I loved her take on death, right? And I was
Yes.
like, oh my God, I don't want to be a mortician,
Yeah.
because I did horticulture, so I didn't have to deal with dead bodies. I'm not interested in, doing
dealing with the
corpses.
dealing with the body.
Um, I'll bathe the body after it dies, and but I'm not hosting. I'm not a funeral director. I'm not a host. That kind of thing.
Yes.
I'm not a mortician. I'm not interested in, you know,
You draw the line at bathing the body. Noted.
I'm not into corpse disposal. Let me put it
Corpse
that way.
disposal. Fair enough.
Anyway, so she's written 3 books, and Kevin brought me one of her books, and he's like, "Oh my God, have you heard of this woman?" And I'm like, "Of course I have." And
Yeah.
so she had a seminar that she put on for her mortuary,
Yeah.
and it was about hospice, transitioning from hospice to death. And about that same time, I was looking at doing volunteer work with the hospice. And luckily, I called up a hospice. It's Hospice by the Sea.
Okay.
And I said, "Hey, I want to be a volunteer." And they said, "Great, come on in." And I did their volunteer training, and I did a training through what's called the International End of Life Doula Association at about the same time. And that would have been, I want to say 2018.
Okay.
And one of the things that I do with Hospice by the Sea is I do No One Dies Alone vigils. So there's a lot of elderly orphans out there whose
Mm.
everybody's died, even their kids. They've outlived everybody.
Yeah.
And the facilities will call and ask for somebody to sit vigil with them. And so I try to get as much information as I can from the nurses and any loved ones that are, because usually they'll have a friend or a
Yeah.
neighbor or something. And I take all
How
that
talkative
information.
how talkative are what did you call it, orphans? Say it again.
They're called elderly orphans.
How, tell me about this experience with the elderly orphan. Your last 2 weeks, last month, or like it's intermittent, or
Well, if I'm doing No One Dies Alone, I'm within 72 hours. So they're
okay,
not talking.
they're not talking.
But the current thinking is that the two senses that are left when you're dying are the sense of touch and the sense of hearing. So I always suggest that people charge their loved ones hearing aids,
Mm,
and so that they can tell stories or they can play music,
mm,
or like in my case, one of the things I've done is I've planned how my vigil, like these are my preferences.
mm,
And one of my preferences is I want to be where daily life is happening around me. I want to hear the
mm.
kids fighting, the dogs barking, the Amazon packages arriving. I want to be part of,
The
and I want to
mix.
be aware, even if I'm dying in the living room.
Yeah,
I don't want to be in a dark room. I want to be able to see
yeah,
sunshine,
yeah,
feel, just because my life is ending doesn't mean that life is over.
yeah,
Right. And
yeah,
so not only do I want to experience that, but I want those that I love and that love me to experience that too, to understand that, or at least to give them the opportunity to
yeah,
understand that. Um, so what I'll usually do is I'll get a story or two, or as many as people will want to give me. And when I'm sitting with the person in transition, I'll just repeat those stories over and over again, because that's all I know about them, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
they've died. Now, I did have a long term client.
yeah.
Her name's Cleo. She's dead. She died the same day as Lydia. So, not that Monday morning, I got a call from the hospice saying, your friend, because she's my
Mm,
friend,
yeah.
Cleo has died. Cleo was like 94. So
Okay, man.
un it wasn't unexpected. She was in
Yes.
hospice anyway, so it was already expected. So
Yeah.
that day I got Cleo's death and I got Lydia's death notices. And actually this morning I have 3 death notices within my or pending death notices within my own family, which is really interesting.
Really? Oh
But
my God.
uh,
Amazing.
it is. You know, it's it's I'm very curious about it, why
God bless you, Mel.
it's happening this way. Um, so let's see. So
The-
yeah, so I'll take people's stories, but
yeah.
really what I'm interested in is acceptance,
Yeah.
that this is happening, and the only thing that the loved ones can do is love on this person and give them what they ask for.
Yeah.
I want the windows open. I like to wear socks in bed. I know that's weird,
Hmm.
but I want clean socks. Like,
Hmm.
change my socks every day.
Yeah.
Little things like that. Comb my hair this way. Those are the things that my loved ones can do as I'm going into transition, that they
Yeah.
know will bring me peace. And it brings loving connection for
Yeah.
them. And so when I die, they have this memory of making my death as loving and connected and pleasant as they possibly could.
You know what's awesome about that? It's almost like an act of service now for them, because at that point you're pretty much you're pretty much, you're transitioning, right? So it's like, what a beautiful way to, here's a selfless act of what you can do if you want to, like, feel a part of and connected, and and here's a blueprint for you, family, to act in a loving way. And so you can know that you're loving me as best you can as I'm transitioning out of here, perhaps.
That's all you can do. Now,
Yeah.
I did want to ask because, the American culture doesn't have a lot of ritual around death and dying.
Yeah.
Your family of origin,
Mm.
is their culture, does your original culture have ritual around dying and death?
You know, I would say perhaps on the Russian side. My mother was German and came over from Germany, and my mother was born, during World War II, and Germany, and or lived through that at a young age. And so, interestingly, she was not proud of that, of her origin story, shall we say, right? She was very sensitive to her anyway. To answer your question, no. If there was, I don't think the Germans have a lot. Do they, like, the German culture even today? They are probably more like Americans. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that when the funeral industry took the corpse out of the home
Yeah.
and put them in the funeral parlor, and we changed our parlor to a living room, that's
Yeah.
actually quite profound. I
Yeah.
think that business opportunity was adopted
Mhm.
in most European cultures. I
Mm.
don't know if it's true with the Asians.
Yeah.
I still think that in a lot of Asian cultures, well, I know that there's some cultures where they mummify their dead and they
Yeah.
visit their dead on, regular anniversaries. Um,
Yeah. I,
and so they're not separated.
yeah. I
The
think
veil is thin.
yeah, the Russian side. So my father was born in the States, but grandfather was Russian, and my father actually, before he passed, had an opportunity to go back to the homeland, shall we say, literally the town where our family came from, and
Can I ask what part of Russia?
I don't know. I'm sort of your ignorant child,
All right.
you know. But I was gonna say, lots of ritual to the towns that he went back to. Like, he was like the prodigal son coming home, right? They're like, oh my gosh, the Zvegensovs have come back to the homeland, right? And treated him like, the stories he told about how they just invited him in, and because when the czars got thrown over in 1917, that's when my family fled Russia. We happened to be landowners, and those were the first in line to get your heads cut off, right? So,
Were you Jewish also?
no, we were not
Okay.
Jewish. No, no. But I'm guessing you ask because it seems like I embrace it, or why do you ask? I'm curious why you ask. What my if there's a history, or if my ethnicity leads, like, what's my ethnic history with embracing death, I guess, is the question.
Well, because you brought it up at the beginning of our conversation
Oh,
that your
okay.
parents were migrants or
Oh,
were,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. So first, I guess
So
I'm first generation German, second generation Russian. So yeah, I I love I don't know what I love. I love being able to talk about death, and I love being able to talk about death with someone who likes to talk about death. How's that? Um, in a way that's expansive, and the sky's the limit, right? I want to tell you what a gift that is for me right now, to be with somebody who's like, clearly I could go as deep with you as I wanted to, and I'm just touching the surface with you, but I'm like peak experience for me, and you're like, well, doors wide open. We how far do you want to go? So anybody listening, what a gift to have access to that. um I had this really funny thought and it eludes me. It's escaped me, but whatever. Maybe it'll come back.
I,
Go ahead.
I have to say that I'm really good at what I do when I'm in the moment of doing it. Where I struggle is having people
Okay.
use my service.
What do you mean when you say that?
It's really tough to get people to recognize that there is help out there and that
Yeah.
they don't have to do the death alone. Um, I'm working, and I'm also because I don't know. There's something weird about my personality that a
Okay.
lot of people in my business are interested in the silent and boomer generation, right? Because
Yeah.
those are the ones that are dying now. That's the generation that's going. They're interested in hospice. I have an interest in addicts in recovery because they come out, they relapse, and they die, especially with
Mm.
fentanyl and
Yeah.
carfentanil,
Yeah. Yeah.
especially if they're opiate addicts. And it just leaves these holes in
Mm.
families if they don't recognize that. Because with the recovery, they'll be like, well, they went to rehab, so they're fixed. And it takes my breath away because I know that that's not how it works.
Yeah.
Um,
Go on.
and I'm
Yeah.
also working. I just won a scholarship, and I'm working through a online program through the Cal State San Marcos has a palliative care program, the Shiley Institute of Palliative Care,
Yeah.
and they've granted me a scholarship to do a multidisciplinary certificate in pediatric palliative care.
Yeah.
And kids are another area where people in my industry don't seem to be willing to venture. So,
Let me tell you something. This is my intuition about you, Mel, is that the authenticity that you bring and that you crave, that you love and that you thrive in, um, your story and what you do has such deep meaning and roots for you that I have no doubt that as you continue to explore, perfect your telling of the story, which was beautiful, by the way. And I just want to say, anybody listening right now, Mel, I don't think we said before I hit record. Another thing you said was, "I've never done this before. Thank you so much for bringing me on," or whatever you said. And like you were like, "I don't know if I'm going to be able to do this." Round of applause, everybody. Let's give a round of applause to Mel for just stepping up and being so inspiring. And anyway, I'll just finish my little thought process with that. What you have has depth and weight, and I have no doubt that it will continue to grow legs.
thank you. Sometimes I forget, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes my ego is my enemy.
Yes.
And
Yes.
the obstacles look overwhelming in
Yes.
this industry. Once I'm in and I'm doing my work that I thrive on doing because
Yes.
it fills my spirit as much
Yes.
as it helps other people, I'm in a good place. It's
Yeah.
that um, it's building the business that is so daunting to me.
It can feel so daunting. I can tell you the program I'm in is very powerful and we can talk offline about it, but I think your story and what you're trying to do and the depth and the weight that it has. So it's not, I mean, I think financial success by doing it is just an extension or proof of concept that what you're doing is bringing so much value, right? Like I definitely get the impression that if you didn't get paid, not that big a deal. It's like for free and for fun for you, right?
Yes.
I mean, we want to get paid. I get it. I get
Yes.
it. I'm trying to say that it is the financial side is a hope and an expectation, but the labor of love is there.
The calling is part of who I am, and whether I'm paid for it or not, I still do it.
Yeah.
It's a compulsion at this
Yeah.
point where, also though, I might add is that I have pretty good boundaries around this, right?
Yeah.
So I'm not sucked into other people's grief.
Yeah.
I have compassion for their grief and for where they are. And I'm sorry that they have to have that experience.
Yeah.
But I don't take it on as my own. And I don't, I know how all this ends. So I go into
Love it.
a situation knowing that it's going to end in death.
Yeah.
And that actually brings me a little bit of breathing space.
Yeah.
I know that there are a lot of death or birth doulas out there.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine being a birth doula. I can't imagine being there at somebody and then having to spend their entire life as part of my life, right? I've got an end point. So I can give everything. I can give my whole self, knowing that I don't have to do it forever.
So beautiful. You know what, Mel? I there's other things I wanted to get to on the list, but I think we'll save this for another day. We'll save that for another day. So people can track you down, or people can refer people to you. How are people going to find you?
I have a landing page. It's really a website, but it's in progress.
Awesome.
The name of my business is Last Acts of Love. So if you go to lastactsoflove.com, it has both an email address, which is lastactsoflove@gmail.com. Okay. It has a phone number, and you can reach me that way. You can reach me through Misha. The phone number is 858-256-6216.
Okay. And you were going to say another way?
Or if you want to reach out to Misha, and he has my contact details, I'm happy if you share them. And I would love to come back on again. I also host, like I said, I co-host Death Cafes. I have one coming up on February 10th. It's from 6:30 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you go to deathcafe.com and you type in a reasonably close zip code, it should pop up. You'll have to RSVP to get the Zoom link, but please come and support me in this, because I do better when there's more people.
Perfect. And tell me Death Cafe real quick, because I do want to be cognizant of your time, my time, everybody's time. Death Cafe in a minute. What's going on there?
It is a place where people can have authentic discussions about dying and death. There's no judgment. There's no agenda. We're not selling anything. We just want to give people a safe place to share their thoughts and hear other people's thoughts around dying and death.
Mel, that was beautiful. Thank you so much. I'm going to thank you for coming on, sharing your vulnerability, just embracing the authenticity. Love you. It was beautiful. I'm going to hit stop, and we can chat for a sec after I stop recording.
Thank you. Thank you, Misha, for the opportunity.
Indeed.
Thank you for spending time with me today. As someone who is committed to growth and service to this world, I so appreciate your willingness to come with me, go within, and serve our world through change. If you found value in this podcast and you know someone who can use this message, share this episode with them. Share it so our mission can be achieved one episode at a time. And of course, subscribe so you can hear more. And lastly, for my free Insider's Guide to Finding Peace, go to belove.media/peace. That's B as in boy, ELOVE.media/PEACE. It's my 8-step guide to finding peace now. It's a super powerful tool. I use it all the time. Check it out. I'm offering it to you for free. Thank you again for listening.